All right, guys. So today we're going to look at the perfect setup for the Raptor R from Traxxas. This is a very unique four-wheel drive truck. It is 100% scale, and we think Traxxas spent a lot of money and time developing this. So this has a brand new chassis. Everything is new on it. It's a longer chassis. It's got new components on it. You have different bumpers, 100% scale for the Raptor R. On the body, you have a lot of molded parts. It makes the car look really nice. And again, this is a 100% scale version of a Raptor R. Now, Traxxas makes their regular slash in the Raptor version, and it's shorter. This is a 14.5 inch wheelbase. Just to give you perspective, that is bigger than the older T-Max, that big monster truck that Traxxas has. It's bigger than that. That is definitely something you want to make note of. A very long chassis. If you want to get replacement bodies for this, it's going to be very hard to find one. I know because I've searched for it, and there's almost nothing out there that has this wheelbase in RC for this size of class, which is really 1/8 scale. So let's get into the car. So the car comes with a Valenian. It's a 3S system. It's got a 3500 kV motor, and it is extremely fast. It'll do 60 plus. And because the car is bigger, it's heavier, and it does tax the system a little bit if you overgear it. A lot of people had overheating issues with their original Raptors. And so today what we did was we decided we were putting together a Fox Raptor for a customer of ours. And he said, listen, just do your thing. Give me something that you would do for yourself. And this is what we came up with. So the first thing we addressed was the motor and speed control. Because Traxxas has a good ecosystem of motors and speed controls, we chose the 540 XL. It's their long can motor. It's definitely something that has an increase in torque over the standard motor. It's a 2400 kV, and it's appropriate for up to 4S, which we put in this car. So to complement that, we went with the Valenian VXL 4S speed control, and that'll handle all the power that this is putting out. For the battery, now they don't make an expanded battery tray for this, but luckily the 4S 5000 from Traxxas fits in here with a little finagling. I raised the battery bar up. I put some shims in it, and I raised it up a little bit so we could fit the 4S battery in here. It looks perfect. So I'm going to take off the body now to show you what it looks like inside the car. It looks like basically a stock, like it came from factory like this, and it's awesome. All right, so check out the layout here. This looks like it was just set up from the factory beautifully. We moved the receiver box to the front. Luckily, there's two holes that accept the box, and it goes right in. There's no wiggling, no play, and it goes right in there. It looks great. The VXL 4S speed control basically screws right to the side of the chassis. And like I said, it looks great. Everything just looks like a standard car. Battery goes in there very nicely. So essentially, we made this a 4S car. Now, what's cool about what we did is, because Traxxas recently updated all their cars to have their extreme heavy-duty parts, especially on a car like this, you need, really beefy universals, which this has. It has all the carriers, all the upgraded carriers on this with better plastics, much stronger. We're not really seeing too much breakage from our customers on this. The drivetrain and the differentials are very beefy. They could handle the 4S. So that's what makes the Traxxas cars so special. They can really handle the extra power that you throw at them. And this car, I mean, the VXL 4S and the 540 XL motor are a welcome addition to this car. It complements it very well, and the car can handle it. It's not going to fall apart, and we think it's just incredible. Now, with this system, you're talking of speeds in the 70 mile an hour range as opposed to the 60. It's really, really fast. It's beyond it's beyond the normal speeds that you usually see with this car. So now that we upgraded the power, we never want the power to be ahead of the chassis and the suspension. So what we did is we took off the Ultra shocks, and we added the GTR shocks from Traxxas. They happen to make an anodized orange. It complements the car very well because the body itself has a lot of orange in it. So the anodized orange really goes well with the body. We thought that was great. If you notice on the shocks, they have a different set of springs. And the reason why we did that is the springs that Traxxas makes, they're a little short for the GTR shock. And it definitely affects the handling a little bit, especially on a longer and heavier car. So we sourced some springs that are longer and have the right tension. Actually, they're perfect for this setup. The car drives noticeably better with these springs, and it lets the suspension act properly. Now, when you have the older springs, which are shorter, you have to crank down a little excessively, and then what ends up happening is you have a very, very quick rebound rate. So on this car, because the springs are longer, you don't actually have to crank down the retention rings so much. So look how plush this is. When you push on it, look at that nice and slow rebound. It actually acts like a real suspension on a real car. It really takes this handling up to another level. Now, in this car, we don't put sway bars just because of the nature of the car. It's very long, and the way the chassis is set up, we want a little bit of body roll. When you have body roll, a lot of people don't know this, but you get increased traction. And a car this big and this heavy, you definitely want that increased traction. You want to leave it alone. You don't want to put sway bars on this particular car. So another cool thing about the suspension is we went with 50 weight oil in the back and 40 in the front. We think that's the perfect combination for this car. Now, as far as steering servo, we went with the Traxxas 2270. The reason why we went with this servo is because TSM is an essential part of this car. It lets it drive better than it really should. This is like I said, this is a long and heavy chassis. Anytime you lengthen the chassis, you're putting a strain on the drivetrain components and the suspension, and usually the cars don't handle as good as, let's say, the shorter wheelbase ones do. So really you need TSM, and you need TSM to be working at its optimum levels. The way you do that is by sticking with Traxxas servos. The 2270 has double the amount of torque of the standard 2075. It's about 240 ounces of torque versus about 130, 140. And we think it's definitely a very good move to go to the 2270, again, because the Traxxas servos work very well with their TSM system. If you get an aftermarket servo, sometimes they don't work as good, they're not as accurate, and it just doesn't feel as good. So the 2270 in here, it goes right in. It's a beautiful servo, and you got twice the torque in here, and really it's very appropriate for this size car. Now, one thing a lot of people forget is that this wheel is bigger, noticeably bigger than the wheels that come on a Slash. These are, the reason why they do that is for scale, accuracy. I mean, like I said before, this is a 100% scale car. That means every dimension on it is actually like taken off a real Raptor. And I definitely appreciate that, especially with the Fox body. It looks absolutely killer. Now, one of the things as far as looks goes is the lighting system. Now, the stock lighting system, it comes with white lights in the front bumper and red in the rear, and then you have an option to add some lights to the front. Now, the cool thing about this lighting kit is it's only $8, and it's offered from Traxxas. It's just 4 bulbs. They plug into each of these cavities here, and then it runs off. It comes with all the wiring, by the way. It goes right into the receiver, and it absolutely looks beautiful when lit up. It's a really nice thing that Traxxas does when they give us a cheaper option instead of having to buy an elaborate system like on some of their other cars, which are $100 for the entire system. This $8, and you basically complete the system that's already halfway there. We think it's beautiful and we love it. And the simplicity is good because that means there's less to break. And if you do happen to snap one of the wires on the lights, $8, and you replace the whole thing. So very cheap and very nice. Now let's talk about the way this thing drives. A lot of people don't give this the credit that it's due. It is a very, very unique driving experience because of the length of the chassis. Because it's long, when you drive the car and you flick it, depending on where the TSM is, you can actually make the rear end kind of spin out, kick out, and have that satisfaction where you kick, turn, and basically it helps you actually rotate the car and turn. It makes the driving experience a lot more fun and a lot more unique. So driving this car, for me at least, is just a little bit more exciting than, let's say, a Slash. Now, we spoke about the TSM before being important. On this car, it's very important because, like I said, the chassis is very, very long, and, you know, it's a heavier car, so it needs the TSM. And with the TSM on, it's incredible to see a car go this fast, especially with the 4S, and just keep a straight line. It's actually mind-blowing. It looks like it's defying physics, and it's really a special driving car. If you haven't driven a Raptor R, I think you should definitely drive one if you can. If you know somebody that has one, take one out for a spin. I think you're going to love it. A lot of people, because of the price, they get scared away from that $529 price. It is worth every penny, in my opinion. Even in stock form, it's a special car. And if you buy the car over time, like I said, you can do these upgrades. Now, we will be listing the springs soon. I don't have enough of them to tag them below. Once I get enough inventory, I'm going to tag them below and we'll start selling them. It is a really good improvement, and for any car, really. It works for the Jado, it works for any car, but especially this car because of the heaviness of it and the length of the chassis. You definitely want to have the correct spring tension and rates. I cannot tell you how big of an upgrade this spring in combination with the GTR shocks is. All right, guys, so the center differential is the most critical upgrade for this car. If there's one upgrade you're going to do on the car and you can't afford anything else, do the center differential. It definitely takes the car to another level, especially, like I said before, the chassis is very long. You need to manipulate the power from the front to the back very efficiently. The center differential is going to allow you to do that. They make the center differential in 3 configurations. One is all plastic. One is a steel spur gear with a plastic differential housing, and the most expensive one is the steel gear with the aluminum housing. I think you should get the most expensive one for this particular car. The one with all the metal handles heat better, and it's just a stronger platform. It's going to last longer. It's $70. It's very expensive, but well worth it. And like I said, it takes the sophistication of the handling to another level. A lot of people don't know this, but it also makes the car, the jumping ability better, because when you're on the throttle and you're leaving the jump, somehow it just reacts better in the air when you have a center differential. So take my word on it. If you have this car, or you have any four-wheel drive / or anything like this, you want to get the center diff. Definitely a must-have. Now, for the gearing on this car, we went with a Robinson Racing 20-tooth pinion. It's a 32 pitch. We like the cuts on them. The teeth are a little bit longer than the Traxxas steel gears. I think they connect a little bit better to the spur gear, and I think they're a little bit smoother. So definitely a nice upgrade for this car. Robinson Racing. We'll put the tag below. So you can order that if you're interested in that pinion. The jumping ability of the car is also really nice. Every time we jump it, the car seems nice and balanced. It handles very well. It's got good air control in the air, and there's no complaints about jumping. It's a lot of fun. Now, I want to go back to the tires for a second. A lot of people don't know this also about the tires. The tires have an extra hard compound in them, and they did it on purpose. When you have a long chassis like this, if you had really grippy tires, the car would be traction rolling, and it would be a nightmare to drive. Traxxas somehow figured out the perfect compound for all 4 tires on this vehicle, and the car just has the perfect slip and grip combination, and the car just drives like it's magic. And I'll tell you, I really appreciate that from Traxxas. Like I said, because of all the different components on this car than any other car that they make, they probably spent more money developing this car than any car that they usually translate or just convert into something else, because almost every part on this car is different than a regular Traxxas car. It doesn't really share that many components with their other cars. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this perfect setup Raptor video. We will see you on the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day and be well.